This was insane to witness last night as the highs were high and the lows were low for the Edmonton Oilers as Connor McDavid's last second magic against the Buffalo Sabres was all for nothing as they fell 4-3 in overtime, and the spotlight was on Evan Bouchard for all the wrong reasons. We will break that down for you today here in the video if you haven't done so already while you're down below giving me all your thoughts on the team so far. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you have some words for you, some particular members of the Edmonton Oilers. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for any and all Oiler news there. 75.5% of you watching these videos haven't yet done so. So, folks, what are you waiting for? It's the time of giving. It's the Christmas season. So, give us one more subscription there. But for the Oilers, they could have used, one more goal last night as they fell to the Buffalo Sabres 4-3. And Buffalo sweeps the Oilers in the season series. There's Buffalo way back when, the middle of November, when the Oilers were on their 7-game road trip, beat the Oilers, and the Buffalo Sabres did that yet again on the second half of their back-to-back there. It almost looked like the Oilers, for the first 40 minutes play, were the team that was on the second half of a back-to-back. Fresh legs at home there. The Oilers with a chance to make it 3 games in a row with a win, but Buffalo is saying, nuh-uh, not tonight, folks. And the Oilers, their record goes to 13-11-6 there. In the opening 40 minutes, the Oilers didn't get a whole lot done there in the first period. They were all over the Buffalo Sabres, but it was more so just perimeter play instead of attacking the middle, which we've seen them do over the past couple games there, ever since they got swamped by Dallas 8-3. The Oilers woke up offensively, and we thought, okay, maybe this team is back. But in the first period, in the second period especially, with the goals from Josh Doan with 2 on the night there, and Tage Thompson off of a little bit of a bad Evan Bouchard turnover. I'll have to admit it, as much as I love Bouchard, wasn't his strongest game, but we'll get into that in just a second there. But the Oilers, aside from a few players last night, during the opening 40 minutes, they just looked very lifeless. There was, akin to the Columbus game at Rogers Place when the Oilers were down after 2 periods of play, and then they finally turned it up there, but they could not get the script right last night there. The Oilers, Connor McDavid with 2 goals, one in the opening minute of the third period and one in the dying seconds of the third period with his McDavid magic there. I mean, that's the most emotion I've seen him have all season long, and then also sandwiching in the middle of there, Vasily Podkolzin, his 6th of the year. But if the Oilers played like this all game long, that was such an easy win, but they roll into this one thinking, hey, it's the Buffalo Sabres. They're not very good, but Buffalo reminding everybody that they are, not to be taken lightly, despite them sitting at the bottom of the Atlantic Division there. But in overtime, 33 seconds into the extra period, I should say, Alex Tuch, all alone, beats Stuart Skinner, and it is 4-3 Buffalo to take that one in this season series. Their shots on goal 30-28 in favor of the Oilers, and I mentioned heading into this one last night, special teams was going to be a big part of the equation for the Oilers, but instead of going perfect on the night in both facets, both the penalty kill and the power play, the Oilers 0 for 4 on all of their man advantages there, and Buffalo going 2 for 6, including a 5-on-3. But Stuart Skinner, helping his team in it there. Stuart Skinner, that loss was not his fault whatsoever. I saw him being blamed on the overtime winner there by Alex Tuch. I mean, what else could he have done? He could have just, given Alex Tuch, more of a freebie there, but he stayed square to the shooter there, and Stuart Skinner did all that he could last night for the team. One goal was taken back for the Buffalo Sabres, but apparently there was a hand pass, and that was taken off of the board there. But the Oilers special teams, Kris Knoblauch, who's, singing the praises about the special teams, both the power play and the penalty kill, heading into this one, and yeah, they were singing the blues last night instead of singing some more praises there. But Vasily Podkolzin, who I thought, was the best Oiler consistently all night. Sure, McDavid had the 2 goals, but Podkolzin, a dog on the puck there. Obviously not the best start. They did a good job, too. They're a good team, too, and they played strong. They're tough to play against, but we need to have a better start. That's for sure. We put ourselves in that position right from the start, but I think being down 3 or 4 goals is nothing, and the guys have proved it so many times already. But we need to get a job done. We're obviously having lots of good habits, and we have the best players in the world here, so we have to win it more and want it more there. So for Vasily Podkolzin, again, very consistent last night, but he has to realize, not just him, but the entire team, they have to get it from the get-go, from the drop of the puck, they need to have the same energy that they brought in the Seattle and Winnipeg games, where they scored, early and often in the first period of both of those games. But again, you go into this one, you're thinking it's Buffalo in the second half of back-to-back. You can just coast our way through this, and then in the third period, that's when they realized, hey, we're down by 3 goals here, let's get something going. But again, only playing 20 minutes. When you're only playing one-third of a game, you can't expect to win every single time there, and these Oilers have to realize that. I've said that so many times, not just, the past season, but also this season as well, where they just, don't wake up on time, and then, they go behind by 1 or 2 goals, and sure, yeah, they climbed their way back from this one last night, but just, you can't do that consistently there, especially when the confidence just absolutely tanks when you have to play from behind every single game there. Sure, it's great for the drama, it's great for the storyline there, yeah, the comeback kids once again, but you just cannot do this. You need to start from, the first second there of the hockey game. But again, leading into my point, where the first period, yeah, the Oilers, they put up 8 shots to, Buffalo's 7, but it was just more so perimeter play there, and in the second period, just completely fell asleep there. A whole lot of passes, and a whole lot of nothing there, a whole lot of, again, nothing towards the Buffalo net minding last night, and it was just in the second period. And what happened, between the first and second periods, did they play, some sort of, tape that everybody fell asleep, and they realized, again, yeah, let's just coast through this game and see what happens. And in the third period, you can see if they play like that every single night, they're a 62.5% Corsi 4 percentage there, when they're just firing it on net there and trying to actually, get the entire team activated, they win. But again, a lesson learned for the team, and it seems like they have to learn this lesson, one too many times for my liking there. And what I didn't like last night was the bottom 6, in the game preview for the Buffalo game yesterday afternoon. I said, the bottom 6, they were showing signs of life, and then they go and make me look like an absolute doofus. Didn't know what their purpose was last night, minute munching, getting outshot, in all facets of the game last night. Andrew Mangiapane, not too sure what he's doing out there. Same with Trent Frederick there. I mean, the other 4, Henrique, Mark Lazar, and Tomasic, sure, they were there, but you need your bottom 6 to, generate just a little bit more. Sure, I know, all 6 of them aren't offensively gifted, offensively minded, but you just need to do something other than, just waste time until you get either McDavid or Draisaitl back onto the ice there. But the elephants in the room, yes, multiple elephants. The overtime winner there, I saw everybody being blamed on this goal. It's like, okay, yeah, I can see your point there, but that was more so McDavid's guy, Alex Tuch, pretty much, all alone in front there. I saw Bouchard being blamed for some reason, don't really know why. I can see why he's blamed on, the second Buffalo goal, but for that one, again, that's just, the Edmonton, 3-on-3 mindset. It was, okay, yeah, you just have to wait until you get the puck, and then when the opposition gets it, they just sort of wait around there, and the Oilers just getting a little bit too greedy there in the extra frame. But the one everyone is talking about on social media, I said Evan Bouchard was, the key to the Oilers, getting their mojo back, and last night, this happens when he essentially gave Tage Thompson a Christmas gift, 2 weeks early, saying, here you go, buddy, have this one. I saw nothing but, Bouchard is overpaid, he's a pylon, he's garbage, he's this, he's that. But again, this is what you get with Evan Bouchard. I'm not completely 100% defending him. He had an awful game last night, but, one game doesn't, erase everything he's done, in the past month. I mean, his month of November was fantastic, but last night, that happened, and everyone just writes him off completely there. I mean, even saw somebody saying, I can't believe he was even considered for Team Canada in Milan in February there. So, just, a lot of awful takes being, released after this performance there. And apparently, Sports 1757222 says Bouchard and Ekholm might be 2 of the worst defensemen in the history of hockey. Now, I don't know why Ekholm got this straight. That's what blew my mind. But, with saying Bouchard is one of the worst defensemen in the history of hockey leads me to believe this person hasn't really watched a whole lot of hockey in their life. I've seen some awful defensemen, not just on the Oilers, but also, throughout the history of what I've been watching. I've been watching the game for almost, 20 years, and I've seen my fair share of all defensemen, and Bouchard and Ekholm not even near the upper echelon. They are, the opposite of that. 2 of the best defensemen, I wouldn't say the history of hockey, but, the 2 of the best defensemen, in their era there, even though Ekholm, is just a little bit older, but again, when you see stuff like this on social media, I don't know if it's just to generate, rage baiting, I should say, in the responses. But again, one game doesn't completely erase what, these two have brought to the team. I mean, they've been the most consistent deep pairing in the last 3 years for the Oilers. I mean, when you look at, the last 13 games played, I showed this yesterday. And again, what you see with the stats here, 3 goals, 14 assists, 17 points, all everybody realizes or puts their microscope under is the awful giveaways in the turnovers. But that comes with the territory being an offensive defenseman. Yeah, you're going to have the puck a lot, which means you're going to give away the puck a lot. I mean, I saw Cale Makar, get ragdolled last night against the Nashville Predators. Nothing is being said about that, but all I'm seeing on social media is just, how awful apparently Evan Bouchard is. But for, Kris Knoblauch, realizing, his young defenseman to tear a strip off him in between periods or on the bench, I don't think that's productive. He knows he made a mistake. He knows that's, not the right play, and it'd be different if Evan didn't care or if Evan didn't feel that. He believed that he did make a mistake, but he has pretty good self-awareness, and he understands what happened on the play. And it's a whole lot of criticism for Knoblauch saying, well, if you really hold people accountable, why don't you bench them? But the Oilers were down by, multiple goals last night. And Evan Bouchard is very, crucial to this Oilers team, good or bad. And you needed him on the ice with McDavid and Draisaitl there to kickstart the Oilers offensively there. And to cap things off here on number 2, Evan Bouchard, is TSN's Ryan Rishaug with, I think, a very level-headed take. Couple tough mistakes from Bouchard last night for sure, but he wasn't the only one. The reality of Bouchard is he'll make a bunch of these all season long, and it will frustrate fans, coaches, probably even teammates from time to time. Then the playoffs start, and he's one of the greatest point-producing playoff defensemen ever. Plain and simple. Playoffs are a long ways away, so it's easy to forget. If you were the perfect regular season player, he would have cost $14 million. That's absolutely true. Not excuses, just reality. He is what he is. He's at his best when it matters the most. And a bit all over the map the rest of the time there. And that encapsulates Evan Bouchard perfectly. Yeah, he's going to frustrate the hell out of you, but he's also going to be very clutch when the playoffs come, when, the second week of April hits and Evan Bouchard decides to turn into one of the best playoff defensemen of all time. And I know what you're thinking, well, the Oilers aren't even a playoff spot right now, but they're only 5 points out of, the third place team in the Pacific Division right now, and they still haven't played Vegas, they still haven't played LA, Anaheim, San Jose, so all, the top dogs, right now in the Pacific Division, the Oilers haven't even seen yet. And everyone is currently saying, well, I don't know if they're a playoff team this year. Well, we don't know what these Oilers are really all about. But, what we saw in the third period last night, if they play like that consistently from the puck drop in the first period, we can see what this team is absolutely capable of. And Bob Stauffer saying the Oilers played well for 20 minutes. Most nights, that doesn't get you a win in the NHL. And to escape with the point last night, the Oilers should be grateful. Sleeper performance through 40 minutes. Connor McDavid 2 goals, and they need to be much sharper from the get-go against Detroit, which is their next game tomorrow night before the Oilers head out on the road against the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday there. So 3 original 6 matchups in a row for the Oilers. Detroit, Toronto, and then Montreal. And I think there's even a Boston matchup in there somewhere too, being it, an Eastern road trip. But boy, that was a lot. That is it for today's video, folks. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Evan Bouchard's play last night and just the team as a whole there. Give me your best Oiler from last night, and I know what you're going to say. Give me your worst Oiler from last night. But folks, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. We will be back tomorrow for an Oilers Red Wings preview. I'm Matt. Enjoy your Wednesday.